All right, welcome everybody. It's 6:16 and we'll start the meeting. We should do a roll call, I guess. Was one thing we were supposed to be doing, right? So
yes,
a roll call. I think maybe I
yeah. So Jonathan Schambroom is here.
Yeah.
Armel Frederman.
Armel.
I'm here.
I am here, Jeff Gunderson.
So we're just missing Michelle and Andy. And Andy did say he wasn't going to be able to make it today.
It'd be good to get an approval of the consent calendar, and I would make a motion. I could make a motion to approve the consent calendar. If anyone has any would like to discuss, we could do that.
I second it.
Okay.
I approve.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any public comment? Can you tell, Franklin, if anyone is in our meeting?
I know our council member Scott's here. I don't know if you have any public comment at the moment, Scott, or you can raise your hand. So he's raising his hand. I'm allowing you to talk, Scott. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I don't have any public comments. I just didn't know if you could hear me or not. I didn't want to distract you guys. So thank you for allowing me to join your meeting, and I'll just listen along.
Okay. Thanks, Scott.
Okay, thanks, Scott. It's good to have you here. This may be an abbreviated one with just basic library information, which is always good for us to receive anyway. Board members and reports. Jonathan or Armel, do you have any thing to report or comment from our last month?
None from me.
Not at this time.
I would like to table whatever a comment that I would have until later, just in case Michelle does appear. So we'll now defer to the Franklin's oral report.
Okay, so we're just going to go run through it. That our circulation is up. One of the big reasons our circulation is now going up really fast is that Corte Madera has closed due to construction problems, and we've had a lot of the Corte Madera residents and patrons start using Larkspur as their pickup location. The one big thing is that Corte Madera did their curbside much different than we do, so the staff feel more stressed at the moment because the residents from Corte Madera call us when they're sitting outside instead of calling us before they get here. So we keep having to remind people to give us a call before you come to the library so we can make sure your stuff's out there waiting for you, and then you don't have to wait for us, because we do get backed up sometimes with multiple people who've called, and we're working on several people at the same time to get their bags out. But if we have some programs coming up. A Solace Wales event was canceled last month because of internet issues. We were hoping to have it resolved by this Friday, but she's informed me that she'll be doing her interview outside her daughter's house, who has better Wi-Fi. And we also have two workshops with the Master Gardeners on drought. They were going into another drought year. So the 17th and the 24th of April, we're having two programs on climate change and gardening. So if you haven't signed up, sign up now. And so on the agenda, you saw that we had pretty much the policy is now done for the hotspots in the bag of the computer checkout. Though we do want to change it. I know we had agreed to move it back to 3 days for checkout, but Mill Valley and a couple of other libraries are checking theirs out for a week. So we were thinking we might just change it back to 7-day checkouts for the laptop computers. The foundation, Larkspur Library Foundation, did agree to pay for 5 more hotspots and laptops. So we still have that to get. So eventually we will have 10 laptops that we can circulate. We're still working on the budget. I just got some feedback yesterday about some changes to our goals. So I'll be updating the goals, but pretty much the budget is staying the same. If you guys reviewed the narratives, the big difference this year is that we're community services now. So the narrative inside the budget report will have both recreation and the library, but we're just trying to make sure that our goals are realistic and that we can follow them. And I know one of the libraries one had been a goal that is something that we do all the time, which was following American Library Association guidelines. And that's just something we do. In personal news, I just found out today I was elected the YALSA incoming president. So the Young Adult Library Service Association which is a division of the American Library Association. So I did win the election. So I'll be the president-elect starting in June of this summer. And then in the summer of 22, I'll become the president of the division. So, and again, this is one of the divisions of the American Library Association. So it was pretty exciting to find out. So,
oh, congratulations, Franklin. That's great news.
Yeah, thanks.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Franklin, can you say again the acronym? You said, is it YALSA?
Yeah, we say YALSA. It's funny, all the divisions have different little funny, like the children's one is ALSC. I used to be part of LAMA, which was the Library Management Association, but that one has since been absorbed into another division. So, but yeah, I've been an active member in the YALSA for a long time. I've served on several committees. I've served on their board of directors 2 times, and then once as their secretary. So they had been trying to get me to run for president for a long time. And I ran last year, but I didn't win. And then they wanted me to run again. So I ran again, and I wasn't sure if I'd win again, but I won. So I was really excited to find out today.
So is this, I'm sorry, is this a national organization?
Yes. The American Library, YALSA is the Teen Services Division of the American Library Association. So we deal with a lot of, helping professionals serve teens in their libraries. We also have several awards for books that we oversee. And I was on one of the committees for that a long time ago, the Prince Award, which is like for the best teen fiction. So it's really exciting to be on this national board, but I've like I said, I've been active with it for a long time.
Good.
And it's just one of my, as you guys have figured out, that I do have a soft spot for teen services. And I think it's very important to make sure that we provide services for teens. And I'm hoping once we start to get back to normal, we'll have some more stuff that teens and teen volunteers can do here in the library. So.
And where is YALSA headquartered or based?
Our headquarters in Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah, and they're basically a little, well, they used to be on their own little floor in the American Library Association, but they just moved to a new building. So they're all on the same floor now. So all the staff can actually see each other. And I had been in their offices several years ago, and it was one of the creepiest places to be in because it's very empty. You weren't sure, was anybody else working there? It was a really, really old building in Chicago. So they just recently moved. So now they have a nice office space.
Did it have moving staircases as well? It's perfect for a teen spot.
Well, no, it was, they had these little elevators, and it was funny. They had 2 buildings that were connected with corridors. So you'd go in one building and go across a corridor to the other building. It was a very funny building. So I was glad they sold it, but they're in a new space now, and I'm waiting to see what that looks like. So
that's a big deal, Franklin. That's very cool. ALA is, that's the mothership of all library organizations. So it's very cool. That's a good place to land within ALA too. So congratulations. We are very proud of you.
Thanks.
Will you put that in the little newsletter that comes out?
Oh yeah. I'll mention that because I'm working on a bigger newsletter to go out through MailChimp. So if you want to move to the new business of the library reopening, as you heard, I know the county libraries are going to start reopening on the 19th. I think San Anselmo's date was the 29th. But our date is going to be May 6th. So that gives us some more time to finish moving stuff around in the library. The quarantine has ended. We got approval from the county health department that we no longer needed to quarantine material. So the book drops have been reopened. Good. So we're just going to lock them on Sunday and Monday. That way they don't get filled over the weekend, but they'll be open like tonight and Tuesday through Saturday afternoon. They'll be open, so people could come again in the evenings to drop stuff off.
That's awesome.
And as you saw, that we're actually going to start using this software. QList is something that we got back in back when we thought we were going to reopen sooner than we did. Like trying to find, where is the shared screen? Oh, there it is.
There was one thing I wanted to mention about the Corte Madera Library. Corte Madera has a Corte Madera Chronicle that they send out every week. And if you need to put something to let patron of Corte Madera know, it's a very efficient way to reach everyone in Corte Madera, everyone who is on the list. But that's a good way to let them know that they should call.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to their branch manager, Stephanie, so to send out a message, because they have their, and I think that's part of their Savannah, it's this big newsletter stuff that the county has. And I think that's part of that. So, but I was gonna talk to Stephanie, who's the branch manager, to see if they could send out a message for us. Because that would really help the staff, because I know today was...
And that would be through the library, but if you send it to the Corte Madera Chronicles through the town of Corte Madera, then you reach people twice.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't know they had a separate newsletter, so I'll let them know. So, because that would really help the staff, because I know that we were running it back and forth today, which is something we hadn't done in a while. So, but I think it had slowed down because people had gone back to work. But since Corte Madera has closed now, we're starting to see a huge pickup of people who haven't been here before or who haven't been here in quite a while. So it's just nice to see people that we haven't seen in a while too. So, so for reopening, we're going to start using this queue list software. And what it is you can either do it by an app or text message. You text this thing and then you type in Larkspur, and then it gives you the options for the different city departments. Eventually, other departments in City Hall will reopen as well. But we'll be using this. But the option also is that you can do it online to make an appointment ahead of time. You'll be able to use the app to make an appointment as well. And you can also just call us on the phone. We can add you to the list, because I know some people are not, they don't have a mobile device that can do the apps, or they don't like texting. I can assure you, I was one of those people back in the day who didn't like to text. So I always wanted to talk to people on the phone, but I've gotten used to it. But we're going to try this for a while. And then hopefully as things start to get better, I'm still waiting to see how the state guidelines change come June 15th. I was just on a call with the recreation directors in the area about this June 15th date that the governor has said would be the target for reopening and business back to normal. But we're not sure what kind of guidelines we're going to have still. Even this new one, when we moved to the orange tier, the guidelines changed the day that we got the day we moved to the tier. We got all these new guidelines, even though we had been planning based on the ones they had already had. And that was the same thing. We've been planning based on the yellow tier level, which would allow the library to open up to 50%. But as you know, our capacity is very tiny. Yeah. So 50% is about 15 people with the staff in the building. So that's the big thing, is just trying to make sure that we have a way of getting people in. But I think once we get it going, it should be able to get people in and out very quickly, especially people who are picking up their holds. The second self-checkout machine was installed today and is working. Our original self-checkout machine, we discovered that the monitor had burnt out at some point. I thought it had been turned off, but I guess the screen melted, and so we've ordered a replacement, so that should be coming soon. But we'll have 2 self-checkouts in the library, one by the back door, which in the children's door, which will be our main entrance for a while. But once, like I said, once City Hall reopens fully, people will be able to come in like they used to. But for right now, we'll have people enter through the children's door. But our target date is May 6th. So we'll be open from 11 to 5 for people to come in. And then every Tuesday and Thursday for a while, we'll be open for people to come in. And that way we'll still do curbside on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And that would allow us to have time to do story time without the public coming into the building. Did you have a question, Michelle? Or?
I do, yeah. Have you guys considered air filters or anything like that? How have you guys thought about even just external ones that are plugged in? Because I know it's an old building, but I know that can be helpful.
We have to talk with the bad thing is that if you plug too many things into City Hall, we start blowing out power.
I know,
And as I can attest to actually plugging something in when I first got hired, when I blew out all the power in my office.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a consideration. But I do think it'll be helpful for safety of the staff. Mm-hmm. Because it's still, COVID is still around the community, even though it's very low.
Yeah, and right now we have the adults are at 70% vaccinated, but it's like we were talking about, it's still the children that haven't been vaccinated. We're still not sure when children will be approved to be vaccinated, but it's going to be a slow process. And then we were talking too that there's some adults who are refusing to get the vaccine. So we're going to have some adults who come in, but the staff will be fully vaccinated by May. I get my shot on Saturday, and then one of my pages gets his shot on Friday. But the rest of the staff they got their second shot last week. So so by the time May comes along, the staff will be fully vaccinated.
That's great, Franklin. Is that your second shot that you're getting?
Yeah, I'm getting my second shot. I know some people have had, I know one staff member got sick after her second shot. We're worried about, staff, and I'm trying to prepare to make sure that the staff know if they do get sick, don't worry. But the other staff who've had it, I think one of them got sick there after their first shot. And then, one didn't have, she said she didn't have any reactions to either one. I'm hoping I fall into that category on Saturday. I'm hoping I don't have any reaction, but I've had friends who had their shot and they sounded worse than when I had COVID. So I think really dodged a bullet of how bad it could have been, other than having that cough forever. But this is still, I mean, what people have been through when they've gotten their second shot sound worse than what I went through. So, but everybody's getting better and back to normal. So it's just hopefully we can, I'm hoping by the summer we'll have fully reopened to the hours that we have right now. We will still remain Tuesday through Saturday for the foreseeable future until the budget is restored to full. And that could be another year or so away before that happens. So we just want to make sure that we had a day that we were open to the public on a weekend to make sure that parents and people who work in the city had a day to come by the library. But having the drops open, I think too, will also help. Yesterday, the MarinNet sent out courtesy notices to people to remind them that their books are due. So if you've had books since last March, to please bring them back, and that billing would start in the next few weeks if they're not returned. So we're also expecting to start seeing some of the books that have been out forever returned. I've noticed that we have a lot of stuff that got checked out in December that has not come back to the library. So we're hoping now that the notices are going to start going out like they used to. It'll get people to start bringing stuff back in. And I know you were concerned last month, Armel, about material, the hold list. So we're hoping this will also get stuff moving again. One of the things I'm working on right now is to recreate an in-demand collection for our DVDs and eventually our books, because when we closed, those collections were absorbed into the regular collection, but we would like to have some in-demand material so people who do come in could get that DVD that, they've been on the waiting list for 5 months for. Again, so it's sort of going back to the way we were doing business beforehand. So
when I was reading about reopening, that you were going to change the layout inside and remove all seating areas, how is that open space going to be used? Will you be able to?
So basically right now, what we've done is we've taken the tables from upstairs. We've left one table upstairs that will be displayed, and we've turned the ones downstairs into display. So you'll be able to find books, the books that we found, these little wooden book holders that we're going to put books in. So basically what we're trying to do is sort of make it look like more like a little bookstore. So you can come in, see what's on display, pick stuff up quickly. And even with the stuff upstairs, we're going to have a table that we're going to highlight some of the collections onto the table so people can browse. So it's much more of a browsing library. So you can come through, look at new stuff, see something you like and pick it up. I'm still waiting to hear back if we're going to be able to open the bathrooms to the public. But right now, that was one thing we weren't sure about, was having access to the bathrooms. So my original plan was to make sure that people were just in here a short amount of time that you would need to use the bathroom. But we're still waiting to hear back if we are required to have a bathroom or not. So.
Franklin, a question on the reopening and the Tuesday, Thursday. So Tuesday, Thursdays starts on May 6th. Is that right?
Yeah, because May 4th, Teresa has the day off. And I realize that Tuesdays are my heavy meeting days. So I'm really not available because I have meeting after meeting. usually on Tuesday. It's like tomorrow, I have meeting after meeting tomorrow too. It's hard for me to be out there if Teresa's not there. I need to be the backup for a while until we get the new librarian on board, but we're still in the process of hiring. So we may not have that new librarian on board until June. So I'm hoping that we can get the process moving a little faster, but it's sort of bottlenecked at HR right now, so.
No, that's fine. Then my question is, like, is that until either this, when the state lifts it on June 15th?
Yeah.
Or
so
is it for the foreseeable?
Well, right now, what I was hoping to do was to start off with Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then as the new staff members came on board, then we would slowly reopen. And once we do reopen, curbside we don't have enough staff to do curbside at the same time. But that was what we were hoping, that once the locker comes, that would be the stuff to put stuff in the locker for after hour pickup. For weekend pickup. So that will be our added service point. But right now, if this was just hopefully to get us to June, and then if the governor says we got to fully reopen, we would slowly reopen, because I'm thinking the next one would be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then eventually we'd be open Tuesday through Saturday, and then curbside would go away.
And this system and Tuesday, Thursday is 11 to 5. That's only for browsing, like to come in and browse? Yeah,
so you can come in and pick up your holds. You can come in and browse. I'm trying to, I need to talk to Dan about, we had talked about getting a little table with an umbrella out by the book drop. So if somebody wanted to sit outside and read the paper, they could take the paper outside with them. I know the Commons had agreed to, I know Joe was talking to me about getting a little umbrella, because right now there's not a lot of shade where the bench is at. And in the summer, it would be nice to have some shade there. So if we can get an umbrella to put out there, that provides shade for people to sit. And so if someone wants to read the newspaper, they could sit outside and read the newspaper. Because the only chairs we're gonna have inside the library are one for the computer, and then we have one if somebody needs to sit down when they need to browse. And that's just an ADA accommodation. I know we had a gentleman who loved to read large print, and he always needed a chair to browse. But we've also moved the large print out onto the main floor, so it's not back in the little hidey hole like it used to be. So there's more space. And the other thing too is I know on good days where we're not blasting the air conditioning, we can open the windows. So that will give us some ventilation. So that will help. But yeah, that's something we've thought about too, Michelle, is, what can we put in for air filters? I know we have the big giant ones that we use during the fires, but those are very noisy. And it would be nice to have something that was more of a health air filter.
Yeah, there are a few out there that can handle like larger spaces. They're in about the $200 range, right? It's maybe 650 square feet that have reusable or washable filters. So you don't have to be paying for new filters also all the time. And I do know that from some of the studies I've read, it does seem to be effective in terms of air circulation and flow. So just thinking of you guys, I mean, even though you're vaccinated, you still can get COVID. You just hopefully won't get as sick. So keeping it as moving, I think, is good for you guys and for patrons, of course.
And that was something, even when I was talking to the recreation directors, that we need to make sure that we can handle people that are in here. And if somebody's exposed, how do we go about, reporting the exposure? But having some air filters in here that would help with the air quality, I think would help. And I would think it'd be patrons' peace of mind as well.
Of course. And I do also wonder, I don't know if you've considered it, but just time in the space. I know that everyone loves the library, of course, and will want to spend time in there, but it could also be very helpful to ensure people moving through. And I don't know if that will be an issue, but maybe if there's some way to do like timers that people can wipe off when the 15 minutes is done, they should be out. Just polite suggestions of having people be able to come in, but also move along and be back outside, I think would be helpful.
And this is the reason that we can use a queue list too, because we can halt the line to not let more people in. And so they just wait until.
Franklin, will you limit the total number of people that can come in?
Yeah, this was also the reason of having queue lists, is so we could limit the amount of people. Because that's the other hard part, is how do we keep track of how many people we have in the building.
But the good news is if they're not talking, like libraries are quiet, they also show that like if the less you talk, the less particles you have. So if you're shouting, there's a lot more. So that's a good thing for the library. You're quiet.
We're still going to require masks until they lift the mask mandate. That you will, to come into the library, you will need to have your mask on. So, and we have those signs outside right now just because.
Do we have supplies for you in case
people don't
have one?
Yeah, we do have supplies. If we need to hand somebody a mask, we can do that. And that was something that we thought about months ago, because I know police and fire have also had the issue of having to hand citizens masks.
Exactly, if they forget or whatever, yeah.
So how are you going to handle it? It's a good point, the point of limiting time inside the building that Michelle raised. How is it going to be handled? Just reminding people that they cannot spend an hour and a half.
The big thing is they don't have anywhere to sit down. and a lot of people who like to spend a lot of time want to sit down. I think there's only like little kid chairs. So unless the adult really wants to sit on
or maybe computer use, how is that?
Yeah, and well, the computer use is going to be 15 minutes, but our goal is to get by May that we should be able to hand them a laptop and say, hey, you can take this home for a week. You have a wireless connection with it. You can use it. Or if you just want to go outside and use it and then bring it back when you're done. So that was also the big reason of getting the hot spots with for the laptops, so people can take them home to use.
You mentioned the locker. What is the status and timeline on that?
I'm still waiting to hear from DTEC to give us a time for delivery. So they haven't given me a solid date for when it will be delivered.
And Franklin, what is the limit? What's the capacity of number of patrons that can be in the library at one time?
Right now, our limit would be 15 people.
Okay.
And that include, because we have to include the staff and the number for our capacity. So so with a full staff here, we can only have 15 patrons in at one time, and that's at half capacity for us.
That sounds good, Franklin. You're making good steps towards figuring all this out. So well done. That's cool. Michelle, I mentioned earlier that I had deferred board members' reports and comments when you arrived. So I didn't know if you had any comments or if you wanted to say anything.
I do. I know. My term is coming up. It'll be the end of my second term, 8 years with the library board, which is hard to imagine. A lot has happened in my life. Now I have 3 little kids and I still work full time. So I have to say that I think it's politely time for someone else to fill my shoes and open the seat for someone else in the community to provide you guys with the energy I think you need. So I'll be done in June.
Oh, well, I'll exhale on that, Michelle, because that you and I started at the same time. I love the idea of us beginning at the same time. I thought that was really terrific, although I'm not going to let that opportunity happen this year because I think I will stay. I am going to apply again to stay because I think it probably is good to have a little bit of consistency with the past generation of what happened with, prior to when you and I did start.
Well, so. I'm grateful for that, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you for your ability to stay on and support. And I, of course, cheer on the library from the wings, but I think you need someone who can hopefully give you a bit more time and energy for all the great work you're doing. I know that I think I've reached my limit with the amount of responsibilities on my plate.
And you're still in town. A few years later, when the kids are in high school, we'll have you back.
That's it. I've been a patron of the library for, I shamefully admit, 40 years. So, it's my favorite place. And always, I sincerely appreciate everything that everyone does on the board, but especially, having your energy is just so amazing for us. And as a kid who spent most of their summers in that library, having a place to go and participate and volunteer and help. I'll tell you, I got a lot of volunteer hours at Larkspur and Corte Madera Library when I was a kid. And thankfully to people like yourself who said it was okay for me to be there and helping. I was helping put books back or whatever, you know, but I mean, it was fun. So thank you for all the future generations you're impacting too, Franklin, for having that focus. It's really, it does have an impact, and maybe one of those kids will be a board member someday.
Mm-hmm. That's only a board member or a librarian.
Exactly.
Well, we're going to miss that kind of experience of, you know, youth to adult on the library board, but I'm glad you're not straying too far. And as I mentioned in an email to you that, you know, there's always going to be a special position for a coordinator of this 4th of July parade for whenever. And
oh, well, here's hoping it comes back.
We're hoping it comes back.
Michelle, I have enjoyed greatly being on the board with you, and I wish you well, and I thank you for your service. Does that mean we have 1 or 2 more meetings with you?
I think that does, yeah.
Two more meetings.
We will cherish them.
We can talk more about air filters.
8 years is really commendable. So thank you for all the time you've put in there.
My pleasure.
And I can only imagine how full your plate is, having been there.
Just a little bit. I think they all just need to get maybe out of diapers and a little more independent, and then I can help again.
You know what they say? Small kids, small problems. Big kids, big problems.
Yeah, maybe they all have to be 18. Let's be honest.
You'll be fine, and we'll see you.
You will.
Do we have any status reports, Franklin, from?
Well, Joe had a family emergency, so he couldn't attend, but he didn't have any status report for the Commons Foundation. Barbara is recovering from her 2nd COVID shot, but she also didn't have any updates from the library, Friends of the Library. And then I haven't heard back from Larry. We did have the meeting last month of the foundation, and yeah, they're doing, the Larkspur Library Foundation is doing pretty good. We have new members on the board, and they're working on updating their website. So I keep, you know, trying to push them to update the website. We do have I think Scott is our council rep. So I don't know if Scott had anything to report back to us. If you want to unmute yourself.
Nope, I've got nothing to report. I'm just enjoying the meeting.
So that's it from our friends in our foundation. So,
okay, we're probably they're running up against the other meeting probably in a couple minutes, but we should probably, any future agenda items, the one I would like to hear about, which you would do naturally, would be report on the beginning of the reopening that you will have been 1 week into it then, or a couple days into it possibly.
Yeah, and then we will also bring back moving the board meeting again back to Mondays. It's not working for Andy on Wednesdays. And I think it might be better for me to get a better work balance between recreation and the library if I have one day where I'm just focused on recreation. So moving the meeting back to a Monday would give me a day to focus just on recreation. So I'm trying to balance my department, so.
That's fine with me if it's okay with everybody else. Plus,
but we have to put it on the agenda, so it has to be.
We'll put it on the agenda.
So that will be on the future agenda. So that'll be on next month's agenda. So next month's meeting will still be on Wednesday, May 12th.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a short meeting. We need to give the Zoom back to the city clerk so they can run the next meeting. Thank you all for coming. And I guess if you want to adjourn the meeting, Jeff, that's.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to adjourn after I thank Scott for attending our meeting and wishing Michelle well, and glad we're going to have her for another 2 meetings. So yes, please contribute as much as possible. But I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you.
All
Nice
right, have a
to
good night,
see you all.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. You guys have a
Thanks,
good
everybody.
evening.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.